My name is Frank E. Brady. I'm originally from New York. I'm born in the Bronx. Grew up in New Rochelle, New York. Moved to New Haven, Connecticut. CT, man. In terms of my background, man, I've grown and developed in some really amazing ways. I'm a speaker, I'm an educator, as well as an entertainer. I've been doing that for the last, I think, 10 to 12 years. I've been working with youth for the last 15 years of my life, which has been really incredible. The main focus, the main part of me that's allowed me to open a lot of doors for myself is that I'm a poet at the root. And being a poet at the root has enabled me to speak, has enabled me to become an educator and a facilitator, has enabled me to become an entertainer, right? Being a performance artist. So, that's part of my DNA, really, and truly. I strive to empower people with my gifts, like the gifts that God gave me. I strive to empower people, to inspire them, to help them, to push them to change their life situations and circumstances. I feel that if there's something I could say that could change someone's life, whether it be through a poem, whether it be through a conversation, whether it be through a speech, then I'm doing my job. You feel me?
Yes, sir.
Real
Yes,
big time.
Yes, sir. On purpose.
On purpose, for a purpose.
Yes, sir.
Whew, we're gonna jump right into
Jump
it.
right into it.
Jump right into it, man. Let's go, man. Manhood is a mantle, right, that is built on integrity, consistency, being able to protect and provide for one's family, and setting up a positive and powerful example for those coming behind you. My coach, Kendall Ficklin, talks about manhood, real men build men, right? And whether you're building up your son, whether you're building up your nephew, your cousin, whether you're an educator working with kids, our job is to build and empower men, future men.
So what was your first example of manhood?
My grandfather, man, Lavelle Brady, man, that's my first example of manhood. That man was consistent, life of integrity. I grew up watching him love my grandmother royally and beautifully. They weren't perfect. They had their arguments, but they never went to bed mad with each other. And I just saw him always provide for his family and protect his family. No matter what, he made sure there was food on the table, a roof over our heads. He was there. He was consistent. He was a pillar. So I was blessed and fortunate enough for him to raise me and for me to see him, live out what it is to be a man, a real man, strong man, powerful man.
How did that example affect how you define manhood and masculinity?
Well, I believe watching my grandfather when I was young, and these are lessons I wouldn't realize that were ingrained in me until I became a man, fully. I watched him just show up, and I watched him always be a man of his word. So for some reason that became very important for me to be able to say, okay, if I say something, I'm going to have to do it. I can't play with my word, because I watched him not play with his words, man. He was very truthful. I learned through him that manhood is also about being rooted in the community and providing for your community. So I used to grow up hearing stories about him as an educator in Jamaica. He's from Jamaica originally, in Ep.1, Jamaica. He was an educator. He was an advocate for the community. He brought water and electricity to the community at Ep.1 in Jamaica. And, they used to joke and call him the prime minister of Ep.1, right? Because he was the unofficial politician, man. But he was an advocate, man. He helped found a church out there with my great grand uncle out there, just as right man, doing whatever needed to be done. In so many words, I'm the product of my grandfather's seed. A lot of who he is and was transcended down the bloodline into me. I look at what I'm doing right now as an educator and the work I do in community, what I do with youth, and it's almost like a mirror of who he was and what he did. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I got his DNA flowing through my veins, and it's coming out through my actions and how I live my life. So one of the things that I think that we have struggled with as men, specifically to as black men in our communities, is accountability, right? Being accountable for these kids when we make them and staying in their lives.
Right, right.
You know, that is, if I can look at a play that has really hurt the black community, is fatherlessness. You know, so many of us grew up without fathers. Some of us never meeting our fathers. We got half brothers and half sisters running around that we didn't even know, sometimes living in the same city as us.
Right,
Feel me?
right.
And we have no idea, right, who and where they are. You know, and I'm a firm believer with that accountability piece is it's being able to own up to your actions, right? And one of the biggest actions that I've seen us as men not own up to enough is creating children and bringing them into this world and not supporting them.
Yeah.
I think there's another aspect of accountability to the women in our lives, right? Being accountable to not dog them and disrespect them and degrade them, and just run through them, man, and have sex with every woman that walks, man, and smash every woman and just leave them broken in the inside. You know what I mean? So I feel like that also goes into an accountability. As a man, we have a responsibility to provide and protect. You know, and I believe that providing and protecting doesn't just come to who we are in romantic relationships with, but our mothers, our sisters, you know, our baby girls, our nieces, and how we. I'm a firm believer that we can't separate and compartmentalize how we treat women. Like you treat your mama right, but you'll treat your girl like trash.
Right.
Like that don't work. That don't work for me, man. Like you treat your daughter like a queen, but then the woman that you messing with and whatever is going down, you just treat her like she yesterday's news. Well, how you treat one, how you treat all.
Yeah, points. So we could go right into the next question.
Let's go right in. Let's go. Let's go.
What is your perspective on manhood as it relates to marriage and family ties?
Ooh.
Family life source.
Man, I've learned a lot about that. I'm a part of this accountability community of men and women called Grindation, man, and part of a program called G-Men, and my coach Kendall Ficklins did a lot to, along with other brothers involved in the program, but has done a lot to kind of teach us what is a man's role in this day and age, right, in regards to his family, in regards to marriage, in regards to having himself together, right?
Right.
So to answer this question, I believe a man's role when it comes to marriage, first and foremost, is to make sure, one, that he's done the work on himself internally, right, to heal. Because as men, man, we broken too, man. Let's keep it a stack.
Yeah,
you know, I think there's a connotation that only women are broken. You feel me? We broken too. We go through a lot of difficult situations and circumstances that make it difficult for us to be emotionally whole and available. A lot of times that's why we mess up women so much, because we're not all together ourselves. So you can't love, hold, and provide love in a whole way if you're not whole yourself. You know, you're not aware of, if you haven't done the work on yourself, you're not aware of like what your past relationships, what your past traumas have done to you as a man, and you ain't healed on, right? You're going to transfer that into every relationship. And there's a phrase that someone said that if a man ain't healed, he's going to finna damage every woman that he comes across.
Yes, sir.
And I can personally attest, I think that that's real. You know, I ain't perfect. I've not been the most perfect brother in relationships myself, you know, but I've definitely strived to learn that. And I've been in a community that's helped me learn that. So man got to have himself together, but like take the time to get himself together, heal and be whole so he can be that provider, protector, you know what I'm saying? That leader that's necessary. I feel in regards to family, a man sets the tempo. A man sets the tempo for his family. You know, a man is the priest, the guardian of his family, man. Like, you know, what you do as a man will set the example for your whole family, your children and your wife, you know? So if you are, for instance, if you are on your knees and you praying, that's setting an example for them to be on their knees and they praying, right? Like if daddy's doing it, you know what I mean? It shows that it's supposed to be done. Not to discount the mother in the situation, man, because the mother's an integral part, Like, you cannot do this without the woman.
Man, we know.
Cannot. Let me just
And I can
say
attest,
that.
I can attest to that, man. When certain things not done right unless I do it. So I wake up before everybody, set the tone, light the incense,
yes,
play the binaural beats,
right.
Everybody mind into
cover your family. You covering them in the moment.
Yeah, and then, those things are important. We think just solely going out making the money, providing, but not present. That's a big void.
Ooh, you be a provider, but you ain't present. That's a huge thing.
Man, you ain't.
Coach be talking about, man, it's not about you just going to get a check. Right? Like, you gotta have a presence.
Yes, sir.
Right? You have to be there to have those conversations. You have to be there. It's about where are you physically, what are you providing? What are you taking? How are you taking care of everything?
Monitor.
You know what I'm saying?
What's the first 3 letters in manager?
M-A-N. Man. So
we manage, and a lot of people, it's that it's a controversial topic now. Because it's like, we don't necessarily say, even though it's labeled as man as the head of the house, not necessarily so, with the foundation. We build a house on a foundation. And that's just true, man. And men not in the house, once again, that's a void. The voids have to be filled.
They gotta be, man, because we tell I want to been like straight up holding it down.
Yeah, man.
For so long.
What?
In the absence of brothers not doing what they're supposed to do, like keeping it a stack, man. Like I was raised by my mother and my grandmother. My father wasn't in my life. In my adolescent years, we reconnected as I got older. But adolescent years, my father was in my life. My mother held it down. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother held it down. You know what I mean? So shout out to women that have filled that void and done the best they can with what they had to make it happen. I mean, I got it off the top all the time, man. The most important manhood lesson I've learned from me personally in my life, and it's a tough question to answer because there's so many, but if I had to just jump in and choose one, for me personally, if a man cannot submit to God, he cannot lead his family the right way that he should lead his family. Right? I feel like, for me, this is for me personally, right? Like what I've learned, and as my boy Bernard said in my book of faith, you know what I'm saying, is that there are so many examples of manhood and directions of how a man should be, right? And how a man's continence should be and his character, you know what I mean? And I look at, like if I can submit to the Lord, that means that my integrity is going to be in check. That means that I have to treat my woman with respect and cherish her, because if I don't, that's a smack in God's face.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the biggest thing, man. Like for me as a man, I have to submit to my higher power, to my Lord, and that will enable me to be a stronger man.
Yes, sir. Especially dealing with not having fathers around. That's daddy.
Bruh, Heavenly Father been daddy since, you know what I mean? That's pops, man. That's pops, man.
This is the altar destiny, altar destiny, altar destiny. Creators manifest with me, manifest with me, manifest with me. I create my reality with the thoughts that I think. I create my reality.